The screaming, the action, the romance. Odds are you've at least heard of Dragon Ball Z, be it from the weird kids in middle school with horrible haircuts who never went a day without wearing the same sweatshirt, or from the hunkiest Japanese foreign exchange student your white ass could never score. It has been memed into eternity and released and re-released in so many languages, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who couldn't watch it in 2020. Which brings me to you, dear viewer. Dragon Ball Z is so accessible and internationally beloved that if you haven't seen it by this point, I'm here to encourage you to give the show a chance. This video is about why I think you should watch Dragon Ball Z. This video is for the uninitiated, the noobs, and those who didn't obsessively watch violent Japanese cartoons on Toonami after school while simultaneously sketching the characters and smashing the action figures into pieces from sheer adrenaline and partially out of love. I've forced several friends and close family members to watch this show in recent years, and they've all given me the same hesitation at the start. But they all came around to absolutely loving the show. I made my mom cry watching this show. If I'm willing to make my mom cry, what do you think I'm willing to do to you? There's really too much for me to cover in this video, so instead of making it 3 hours long, I'm going to highlight the key elements I think are the most attractive for non-viewers. The world and the humor may seem like a weird pairing to start, especially if all you know about the show is spiky-haired dudes fighting. But the setting of Dragon Ball Z is actually vital to contextualize exactly what the hell is going on here. And while humor may not necessarily be related to the physical world, the tone and the sense of humor that the show has is just as vital as the setting, especially in relation to the over-the-top nature of the show, and the downright ridiculous aspects that are there on purpose to make you chuckle. Not to mention the boob jokes. This guy, he's a boob joke machine. Take him or leave him, but he's proud of who he is. A little backstory will go a long way at this point, so hold on tight because we're going back to the past. Dragon Ball Z is a sequel anime series to the original series Dragon Ball. They are both based on the same manga, which was never split into two different things, so that manga is forever known as Dragon Ball. We got DBZ because of marketing! So, Dragon Ball starts out in an almost fantasy world, filled with mystical objects, high-flying martial arts masters, and talking humanoid animal people just chillin'. I mean, look at this cute pup. Don't you just want to tickle his mustache? He's president of the world, and he's such a good boy. On the other hand, human society also seems to be super advanced. They have flying cars and portable capsules that can hold anything from a house to a motorcycle thing. However, as this was originally written beginning in the 1980s, they also have small TVs and people are chiefing cigarettes like it's going out of style, because it is. So the world is a blend of Eastern mystical fantasy and futuristic sci-fi. As Dragon Ball Z progresses, a lot of the more mystical elements take a back seat, while science fiction takes center stage with the plot. Dragon Ball Z has the introduction of aliens, galactic empires, and time travel. But then again, also our main characters visit the afterlife and make friends with deities. So yeah, the setting is kind of all over the place. Anything can happen in this show. This leads us into the humor. The creator of the Dragon Ball manga, Akira Toriyama, worked as a gag manga writer, finding fame with his prior comedy manga Dr. Slump before beginning his work on Dragon Ball. So in a lot of ways, especially early Dragon Ball, things are simply done for comedic effect. It is honestly why the show spirals off into seemingly unrelated directions, because the author doesn't take things too seriously. Of course, there are serious moments throughout the series, especially in DBZ when compared to Dragon Ball. But more wacky shit happens than not, and it's fun to just go along for the ride and see where it goes next. The sense of humor Toriyama implements throughout is why the main character is an uncouth airhead, his master is a horny old pervert, and an evil empire's elite combat squad is a bunch of dancing lunatics, more obsessed with their poses than their teammates' lives. It's hard to describe the setting and the humor without experiencing it for yourself, but it all somehow works, and it holds this absolutely ridiculous world together. There are honestly too many characters for me to give them all their due. So much so that Toriyama himself actually forgot about a main character from Dragon Ball at the start of the Z section and left her out of the plot entirely for the rest of the series. He's wacky! But really, I don't want to focus on giving you full character bios for a show I probably haven't even convinced you to watch yet. That would be pointless and ruin the fun of you getting to know the characters and feel out who your favorites are. Really, what I want to talk to you about are character arcs. Nothing specific and no spoilers, but I think it's really easy for an outsider looking in just to see the screaming and the explosions and not notice the scene setting, the small character moments, and the overall character motivation and action that is driving this beautiful chaos. In Western animation, it's so ingrained in us that cartoons are just always status quo. You know who Peter Griffin is, you know where he lives, what he does for work, who he hangs out with. None of that ever changes. Or if it does, it's so small it doesn't really matter. So much so that South Park decided to make it a gimmick for a couple of seasons where the actions of characters in previous episodes actually affected the next episode. That's not the case in Dragon Ball Z. Every action has a consequence. Now don't get me wrong, Dragon Ball Z is not an in-depth character study like Breaking Bad, but its characters are three-dimensional. They twist and grow along with the plot. It's honestly refreshing, and this character growth is what keeps the show engaging. And by character growth, I actually mean, in some instances, the characters grow up. It's not a static Bart Simpson situation where he's been 12 for 45 years. Gohan starts out the series 4 years old, and he ends the series 18 years old. But personality-wise, you want to see how Goku is going to react to a situation and how Vegeta and Gohan are both going to react differently. It's interesting to see where those differences in personality, background, and outlook take the characters, and how the consequences of their choices impact how other characters view them and where they all end up by the conclusion. In summary, character arcs equal good. If I tried to explain the plot of Dragon Ball Z to you, this would become an entirely different and much longer and confusing video. But I can't expect you to give a show a chance without at least a summary understanding of what you'll be getting into. So now in the plot section of this video, I'll mention some of the characters. I don't play by the rules, even my own rules. I'll also give non-spoiler breakdowns of the structure of the show. Dragon Ball Z is broken down into 4 major story arcs, which are not seasons. They are sagas. If you're watching on Amazon Prime or some shit, the season distinctions are meaningless and just done to sell DVDs. The sagas are all varying lengths, but each consecutive one is longer than the last. The series begins with the Saiyan Saga, aliens invade Earth, goes to the Frieza Saga, Earthlings venture out into space and deal with an evil galactic empire, continues into the Cell Saga, convoluted time travel and killer androids, and concludes with the Majin Buu Saga, a magic pink boy threatens to destroy all life in the universe. What I've just given you are by no means encompassing descriptions of sagas that span nearly 300 episodes in the original, nor the 160-something episodes in the remaster recut. In fact, it's borderline insulting how I summed up those sagas so quickly. There are so many twists and turns in each, and an introduction of new characters and expanded roles for old characters that fill out these sagas. But none of this matters to you because you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. To boil it down to its most simplistic terms, each saga introduces a new threat for the heroes to overcome, and all of them end in a climactic final fight to determine the fate of our heroes. Goku leads the goody-goodies, but he's backed up by an expanding cast of friends and old adversaries. Allow me to quickly list some off for you. We got Goku, we got his son Gohan, we got his rival Vegeta, we got Piccolo, who used to be a bad guy, but now he's part of the good squad. His best friend Krillin. Tien, he used to be a bad guy, but now he's cool and he's got 3 eyes. Chaozu, he's a small little floaty guy who never seems to age. Don't really know too much about Chaozu. He's best friends with Tien. Master Roshi, the old pervert. Bulma's like the tech whiz / richest girl in the world. And also there's Kami, who's literally God. And then he has an assistant named Mr. Popo, who we definitely won't be talking about in this video. And then there's Korin, who's a little cat. Grows magic beans. It's all over the place. There's too many for me to name. They're Earth's mightiest heroes. Think of the Avengers. Now think of the Avengers if they were all much stronger than the Hulk, and oftentimes much dumber as well. And selfish. They're really not superheroes at all. Just strong dudes who love to fight other strong dudes. But it works. Oh, and one last thing. They get hotter as the series goes on. Look how fucking shredded these guys get. Hubba fucking hubba. I've been talking a lot about fighting this and hot dudes that, but what have I really shown you of action? Nothing. And I won't spoil the big scenes for you either. So nice try. You're just gonna have to trust me that a show made famous for its fighting has really good action scenes. You're smart enough to deduce that on your own. What I really want to talk to you about with the action, and what I think could easily be overlooked, is the story that the action helps to tell. It's extraordinarily common to see action that is just there for the sake of eliciting a cool or whoa moment from viewers. Most of the time, it's usually done without the action informing us about the characters involved. That kind of action falls flat for me. Think Michael Bay. He could produce good action scenes, but if I'm not invested, I don't want to see an orgy of scrap metal pounding into each other. The fighting in Dragon Ball Z serves the purpose of getting viewers excited when a long-awaited move is performed or when a vicious hit lands, but it also uses its action to inform the viewer on character and propel the plot forward. Allow me to give you a few examples from one fight in particular so you can better understand what the hell I'm rambling on about. It's difficult for me to break down a fight in this series without spoiling anything, so I think I'll just start with the first fight we see, the fight with Raditz. I'm still going to do my best to only provide you with the information necessary for my analysis, but this fight does take place within the first handful of episodes, so there isn't too much to spoil. So let's slap some scene setting together so we're all on the same page. Goku's 4-year-old son, Gohan, has been kidnapped by this thick-thighed maniac alien creepo named Raditz, after Raditz laid the one-knee smackdown on Goku. This Raditz guy is much stronger than Goku. Before Goku could go off to save his son, his old enemy, Piccolo, showed up. Piccolo was the final villain in Dragon Ball. 5 years ago, he almost killed Goku and all of his friends, but Goku was able to stop him. Piccolo had a brief run-in with Raditz and offers a temporary truce with Goku to take out Raditz together. Picky ain't too happy there's another bad boy running around all of a sudden, threatening his plans for world domination. So the new duo are aligned to defeat Raditz. The fight begins and Raditz is just kinda toying with them. He's yucking it up, having a grand old time. Things start to change a bit when Goku and Piccolo take off their weighted training clothes that they wear. However, Raditz still can't be beat by normal means. Piccolo suggests using a move he's been perfecting over the last 5 years to defeat Raditz, a move he created specifically to kill Goku. Goku's like, haha, very cool, let's do that! The catch is, Piccolo needs to focus his energy in order to use this move, so Goku has to hold off Raditz on his own for a bit. Goku's doing his best, but even his strongest attack isn't enough to do any real damage to Raditz. Raditz then realizes what the hell is going on with their plan, and he's able to just dodge Piccolo's attack. In the chaos, Goku is able to grab Raditz's tail. It's like his one weakness. It's way too lore heavy for me to get into right now, but essentially, think of it like he's grabbing him by the balls. Raditz begs for Goku to let him go. He swears that he'll leave Earth and never come back. Meanwhile, Piccolo is charging up for a second attack, and he's nearly ready. When he hears Raditz, he screams at Goku not to listen to him, but Goku trusts Raditz and lets him go. Raditz immediately overpowers Goku. There's nothing that either of them can do. Piccolo can't risk firing another attack since Raditz will just dodge it again, and it looks like Goku is about to be killed. Suddenly, Gohan breaks out of his captivity and he's able to surprise everyone by dealing enough damage to stun Raditz. Goku uses this opportunity to grab Raditz once more, holding him in place despite Raditz's pleas and sniveling. Piccolo fires the special beam cannon and it drills right through Raditz, and also Goku. They are both killed by Piccolo. And that's only like episode 5. I probably just did an awful fight commentary, I'm no Joe Rogan, but I didn't want to get too spoiler heavy if I could avoid it. Just from what I was able to describe to you, you can already tell what kind of people these characters are at this point in the series, and you can see that characters suffer consequences for their actions that then drive the plot forward. From the actions in this fight alone, you can see that Goku is a nice guy, that he's willing to give people the benefit of the doubt, whereas Piccolo has a completely different outlook. The fact that Piccolo even has a killing move ready to go speaks volumes about the difference between himself and Goku. But Goku's kindness is also immediately punished in a situation that demands more brutality than he's originally willing to engage in if he can avoid it. He suffers for his actions, and Piccolo suffers for trusting him. They are luckily saved by an intervention from Gohan, which gives Goku a chance to redeem himself, putting himself in a more dangerous position than last time, willing to die to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake twice. It isn't just action for the sake of action, it's character-driven action that leads to natural plot developments. Before I begin to wrap up here, I want to briefly touch upon the themes of Dragon Ball Z. Of course, the big takeaway is stronger guy beats less strong guy. But if you want to dig a little deeper, there are some real lessons the show tries to tell you. I told a friend, one of the few I had held down and forced to watch DBZ, that I was doing this video. He suggested the topic could be on why you should watch Dragon Ball Z regardless of your age. I took his point and completely ignored him otherwise. But I understand what he was saying. From the outside, Dragon Ball Z seems just like a show for kids, and it definitely is for kids. But In the same vein of wine moms going absolutely batshit for Pixar movies because they're cartoons for adults too, Dragon Ball Z has moments of heart that service the greater thematic elements at work. Remember how the show made my mom cry? If you think you're tougher than my mom, you're a damn dunce. The real overarching theme of this show is to never stop trying to better yourself. It is through pushing their limits and training seemingly endless hours in increasingly brutal scenarios that the heroes are able to overcome the threats to their existence. However, the show is also about how the connections you make can change you, and how important relationships with your friends and family really are. I don't give a flying fuck who Friends thinks they're fooling. The entire cast of Dragon Ball Z truly love and care about each other more than Ross could ever love Rachel. These are the real friends. There are also smaller thematic elements throughout, stories of redemption, stories of arrogance and greed, lessons about heritage and pride. There's a lot beneath the surface of the show if you're willing to take a look. As I come to my conclusion, I just want to say, it's super obvious that I'm totally biased for this show. And I know that the show is not for everyone. Dragon Ball Z is a chaotic stew of elements that really shouldn't all work together, but somehow they do. You have over-the-top slapstick comedy juxtaposed with tear-inducing monologues of redemption with the fate of humanity on the line. You have planets on the brink of detonation and a dancing troupe of Power Rangers ripoffs. None of this should work, but I cannot express to you enough that it all does. I've given you the briefest overview I could on why I think you should watch Dragon Ball Z. If you watch a handful of episodes and decide, hey, this isn't for me, I totally get it. But I think you're really doing yourself a disservice if you don't at least give the show a chance. There's an entire universe waiting for you out there. It might do you some good just to take a little peek and see what's going on. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It's the first time I've done a video in this format, and it was really fun for me to write. I plan to keep making more videos like this in the future, so if you're interested in seeing those, do me a huge favor and like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to release at least 2 videos a month at this point. Thank you again for watching, and that's about that.